Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
will we take classes on Sunday?
On Sunday, let us take rest. I'm also tired. At least think for me and give me a rest. I don't have any problem. Why? Do you want to take class on Sunday?
No, sir. The writing so that I'm able to bless my country, my parents, teachers, parents.
The first thing is that this was an anti-colonial movement all over the world during the 19th century, during the British colonial times. They had occupied and controlled large parts of the world, and India was one of them. When a foreign power is ruling over you, and when it gets too much, and when they start doing very cruel things, so it turns into a movement. So the first thing is that it is an anti-colonial movement. In India, were not really united, and when they started to protest against the British, then they found unity, and people discovered that they could be united and they could struggle and fight against the British. And because suffering was the same, whether you are in North India or South India or Northeast or West or any other part of India, they could connect and they had a shared understanding, a bond, so that they could come together and fight the British. There was a unity, but it was not the same because every class, every group had different experiences, and their idea of freedom was not always the same. A good way to understand and to relate is we are under a lockdown, but it is not the same for everyone. For example, it's different because Sarlentang has to struggle at the same time. Dede is crying in the background, isn't it? And maybe Sneha is right next to the highway, and sometimes trucks and buses will pass. Maybe someone will knock the door and ask for something. So the experiences are different. People suffered under the British. Their experiences and their ideas of what is freedom was not always the same in the beginning. So we are talking about the beginning. Now let us look at the British rule, the Revolt of 1857 or the First War of Indian Independence. Now this was called the Crown Rule or the Direct Rule. The Crown Rule means the rule of the king or the queen. The first empress of India, or the first time when crown rule began, is with Queen Victoria. This begins in 1858. Queen Victoria is declared or announced as the Empress of India. There happens a political unification of the kingdoms, the principalities, and the territories. Now, in the past, they were not united. But the British rule, when it came, they all had to be under the British, either directly or indirectly. So somehow it unified them. The next point is the uniform. Uniform means the same, and the same system of administration. And this has carried on till now also. You have the IAS or the Indian Administrative Service. Maybe someday you would like uh, to appear for that exam and also join the service. And we also have the IPS, the Indian Police Service. The administrative officers, the IAS, the IPS, and the others, they would be posted all over India, and they would have the same policy and principle and plan and program all over India. It did not matter whether it was in Manipur, in Nagaland, in Assam, in Gujarat, in Bihar, in Bengal. They carried out the programs and the policies of the British. In a way, it contributed to or the idea of India. Okay, the next point is the introduction of modern technology and communications. We have the railways, we have the telegraphs, we have the post and the post offices and the postal system, and we have the roads. Among them, the biggest legacy or the gift which the British left to us is the Indian railway system. Some of you might have traveled by train, and the Indian Railways is a very vast, huge network, connects almost every part of India. The British used it to connect and also to transport goods and raw materials. When they did that, they also connected different parts of India with each other. So you have physical connection through the railways and the roads, and telegraph and the post offices, the post system also became very quick, very efficient. Part is the economic integration or the unity of the economy. Indian markets or the economy was not very organized. The British rule, the markets began to have a certain integration. Integration means they have a certain uniformity, the same price, and there's the same method in which you buy things. A national market came into being. Now we have certain socio-religious movements in the 19th century. Now this also coincides with the British rule. When the British ruled India, they also started the Western education, even the English language which we are following now, and the ideas. So when people started getting educated, they became more broad-minded, they became more liberal. It created a condition that is favorable to their intellectual growth, deeper and better understanding. And you start to see things with not just one view or two views from a broader perspective. You become more broad-minded in a sense. And they demanded changes in the society. They tried to do it in three ways: through the society itself, through the laws or through the legal options, and through the education system. People had quietly surrendered and they never spoke anything about it until the 19th century when they started getting a little bit more educated and they demanded changes. This must stop. And it was very unfair. So people started saying that this is wrong. It should stop. Those who got educated under the British rule, they started to protest against it. And when they did that, this was not just because society was not confined to only one part of India. This was not an anti-British move. Rather, the British helped them to understand, to be educated, and to be more aware of the evil, or let us say the wrong things in the society. And when it happened, it united them all. It prepared them to be united to face the British later on. The two methods, one is reformist or revivalist. Reform means to change it from inside. They realize that there is something wrong in the society. Why are small babies being killed because they are female? Why are women being burned alive? That's because their husbands have died. Or why are women and girls not allowed to be educated? We must change it within us. So this is the reformist. Next is the revivalist. In the society, they also looked at so many good and positive things. And they said that, yes, the British have come and we have started wearing Western clothes and speaking in the English language, but we also must continue with our Indian traditions. Respect for elders, respect for each other, respect regardless of your religion. Now, these were all there in the beginning. To revive the good things and the positive things of the past. Okay, the revolt of 1857, it has so many names and so many definitions. It is called the Sepoy Mutiny or the Indian Mutiny or the Great Rebellion, the Indian Insurrection, the First War of Indian Independence. They are all one and the same thing. In 1857, the Indian soldiers in the British Army, they revolted, and what started in a few places, it spread all over India. The British responded with great and sometimes unnecessary force. Rather, they overdid it. They wanted to punish the Indians, and there were so many atrocities. So all over India, people felt that sense of injustice. After this revolt, this started the process of consultation or talking to the Indians. Yes, the British got angry and they took so many repressive measures, but they also started talking to the Indians. And when they did that, the Indian middle classes, it inspired them that yes, they could also join the government, they could also form their own government. Why do we need to be under the British? Yes, the revolt did not really succeed, but somehow it created, let's say, the beginning of the Indian national movement, the beginning of now the Indian National Congress. The year is 1885, and this is the first time a political party, an all India political party, they could come together and present some sort of political idea. This is the picture of the first Indian National Congress in 1885. Where is this place?
Bombay.
Bombay is correct. Bombay is the old name and now it is known as Mumbai. Now, this is Mumbai right
Yes.
here. Now, the Indian National Congress, it was just a democratic forum. A forum means, let us say, it's something like a club. They have meetings and they discuss and they have debates, and sometimes they put up meetings and resolutions. It's just like a club where they meet and they have discussions and debates. So, this was the beginning. But at the same time, the people who were educated, they started to think very deeply, and it aroused or it created the national consciousness or the idea of India. Yes, Indians, they should be united, they should be under self-rule, and they don't really need to be under the control of the British. And when they started thinking in this way, they also influenced others also. This is the picture of A.O. Hume or Alan Octavian Hume, a retired Indian Civil Services officer and the founder of the Indian National Congress. Who is this person?
Umesh Chandra,
Wait, sir.
Umesh Chandra Banerjee or Vyomesh Chandra Banerjee. Who is he? The first
President.
president of the Indian National Congress. What is the year?
1885.
Very good, 1885, correct answer. Where is the place? Where is it?
Bombay.
Okay. Can you pinpoint or can you mark out Bombay or Mumbai on the map?
Yes, sir. It
Okay.
is
The
under.
first test of the Congress as a party. That happened in 1905, 1905, when Bengal was partitioned. And even this is the present state of West Bengal. Before 1905, 1905, there was no West Bengal, there was no East Bengal, no Bangladesh. This was all part of Bengal and very much part of the Indian areas under the British. Now in 1905, the British partitioned or divided into two parts. So this was divided on religious lines. This was an anti-Congress political move. The person who was behind it was Lord Curzon. Lord Curzon was the Viceroy of India at that time. The Viceroy is a person who is directly entrusted by the British Parliament to look after India, to manage its affairs. But the people of Bengal themselves, they didn't like it and they protested against the British. So, in a way, this move backfired on the British. And the British were not expecting this, they were not prepared for it. They thought that yes, this divide is already there, that this religion, that religion, they don't really get along. Maybe it will solve our problem, we will keep them divided and we will rule over them. But the protest movement became very strong, and the Congress had a good opportunity to be the leader in this protest. And they started something called the Swadeshi movement to boycott the foreign goods, to adopt or to start using the Indian goods. So these are actual posters and banners which they put up. You can see the poster, it says buy Swadeshi or buy the local or the Indian goods. One of the results, one of the unfortunate results of the partition of Bengal was that the Congress split. Split means it broke up into two parts, moderates and extremists. Who are the moderates? They believe in the constitution or they believe in the legal means. In simple words, it means that they are a little soft. Now, some of the leaders are Dadabhai Nauroji, Firoz Shah Mehta, and Raj Bihari or Raj Bihari Ghosh. And the extremists are, let us say, the tough people or the people who wanted to take a bit of a militant action. Militant is another word for tough, some tough or strict action. And some of the leaders were Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Lala Lajpat Rai, and Jawaharlal Nehru. Part of what happened as a result of the partition of Bengal is that revolutionaries, they also started, they formed secret societies, and they were quite violent. And when they did all that, the British brutally suppressed them. Among the revolutionaries, they didn't have much support among the people. They had no base. And they were mainly individual people who took up acts of individual heroism. And the British, they realized that they have to suppress it by force. And they arrested the leaders and even the revolutionaries, and they could suppress them, the people, to a large extent. All this had the result that uh, the Congress went in two different directions. One was the moderates, and the other were the extremists. Now, all this means that when your house is divided, you become ineffective. And it all comes together. All is not lost. All this leads up to the ultimate freedom of India in 1947. And Gandhi arrives in 1915. And that is something we will take up tomorrow. Last thing, right. Okay. Many students have also complained why, we need to be at home all the time. Why can't we go out? Remember that, yes, you are probably safe staying at home, and you are safest staying at home because you may not get sick, but the concern or the worry is that if you go out and by chance or by mistake, you may get in contact with an infected person, and you could bring it to your homes and infect others. So that is the main concern. So just stay put for some time. And history is something we are studying right now, and we are in the process of history. So and we are also writing history. We are part of history at the moment. When the history of Corona or COVID-19 is written, we are among the few schools and students, and even the students of Lighthouse, who during this lockdown we had an online class. We used Zoom, and we continued our discussion, isn't it? So you should be happy. You should be fortunate. You should be proud that you are part of this history. So think about that. Okay, then we will see you on Monday. Take care. Bye bye.